Good morning, Sylvie's here.
Kochmeyer's here in the agenda room.
Good morning, Commissioner,
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
and everyone else in the agenda room.
Holzman's here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Carry over from the fancy side of the room. This is my spot.
Can't you see the reserve sign?
Like a cousin.
Commissioner Coleman is here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Roopster.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
We are all here, so we can go right at 10:15. All right, it is now 10:15, and all commissioners are in attendance, so we will go ahead and call the agenda meeting to order. I ask those participating on the call, please mute your phone unless you need to speak. We have 6 tariffs and new orders today, 1 case discussion, and 1 closed item at the end. So, first up is to approve the minutes from February 17th's agenda. You all have seen those. These are the open minutes from February 17th. You've seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 17th, say aye.
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 Those minutes are approved 5-0. Just for the commissioner's note, we did have closed that day, and those minutes will be approved next week. So first up on tariffs and new orders, file number EO 2022-0143. This is in the matter of the application of the City of St. Robert and Laclede Electric Cooperative for approval of a first addendum to the parties' second territorial agreement designating the boundaries of exclusive service areas within portions of Pulaski County. The parties filed asking for approval of an addendum to their second territorial agreement which the commission has previously approved back in April of 2007. Staff filed a recommendation to approve the addendum. No party filed an objection or asked for a hearing. So this order approves the addendum and permits the co-op to serve an additional 3 parcels inside the city of St. Robert. And I recommend we support this order version 2. Commissioner Root,
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I also support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2, say aye.
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 That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number TO 2022-0178. This is in the matter of the review of the Relay Missouri surcharge. This docket was open to comply with the requirement under section 209.259 to examine the deaf relay service and equipment distribution fund surcharge every 2 years. Staff conducted a review, recommended an increase of the surcharge to maintain the desired balance in the fund and to maintain certain allowances for the company's costs due to collection of the surcharge. The Missouri Cable Telecommunications Association did recommend a phased-in approach to staff's recommended increase in consideration of an alternative funding source for the program in the future, but this order finds that staff's recommendations should be implemented. So I recommend that we approve this order version 1. Commissioner Root,
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number ER 2021-0240. This is in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren Missouri's tariffs to adjust revenues for electric service. On February 14th, Ameren Missouri filed compliance tariff sheets designed to implement the provisions of our February 2nd report and order, as well as stipulations and agreements previously approved in the case. Ameren also requested expedited approval of those tariff sheets so that they can go into effect on February 28th. On February 17th, Ameren filed substitutes for several of those compliance tariff sheets, and then an additional substitute tariff sheet, number 160, on February 18th. Staff has reviewed the tariff sheets and substitutes and found them to be in compliance with both the report and order and the approved stipulations. Staff recommended expedited approval of the tariff sheets as substituted on February 17th and 18th as requested by the company, and no other party has responded. So I recommend that we approve this order version 1, which approves the compliance tariff sheets to be effective as requested on February 28th. Commissioner Root,
I am supporting this order as well.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye.
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 That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number WF 2021-0427. This is in the matter of the application of Raytown Water Company for an order authorizing issuance of water facilities refunding and improvement bonds series 2021. Raytown Water asked for financing authority pursuant to the Environmental Improvement and Energy Resources Authority, which it later amended. Staff recommended approval of the amended request subject to certain conditions. So this order grants the authority and imposes staff's proposed conditions. I recommend that we approve this order version 1. Commissioner Root,
I'm supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I'm in support as well.
All right. All those in favor of approving this order as drafted version 1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GF 2022-0169. This is in the matter of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire's verified application for approval of financing authority. Spire seeks financing authority for the purposes authorized by section 393.200, subject to terms and conditions originally approved by this commission in case number GF 2020-0334. Spire also asked for a waiver of the 60-day notice provision. Staff and OPZ recommend approval pending several proposed conditions, which the parties ultimately indicated were either accepted or not opposed. So this order approves the financing authority subject to the agreed upon conditions and waives the 60-day notice provision. And I recommend we support this order version 1. Commissioner Root,
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I do as well.
All right. All those in favor of approving this order version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Final order today is file number EA 2020-0371 and ET 2020-0022. This is in the matter of the application of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for permission and approval and a certificate of public convenience and necessity under 20 CSR 4240-3.105. Ameren, Missouri staff, Renew Missouri, and OPC have filed a joint motion in this matter asking the commission to approve a modification to Ameren, Missouri's community solar tariff. The revisions would extend the deadline for refunds of participation fees due to manufacturing delays. No party filed in opposition to the motion, so this order permits the tariff to take effect. I think this is a good thing to handle the current world situation of supply chain issues. So I recommend that we approve this order version 2. Commissioner Root,
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
And I'm in support as well.
All right. All those in favor of approving this order version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
5-0. That concludes reports and orders today. We do have a case discussion, so we'll jump into that. This is file number EO 2022-0061, Evergy, Missouri West, Inc. Judge Hatcher.
We have a discussion memo that has been circulated. There are, I believe, 5 issues. We can just go through those. The first issue is legality of a special incremental tariff and how the commission wants to proceed on that.
Okay. Also, just for quick clarification, I have 6 decision items on the memo in front of me, so
Yes, I miscounted. I have 6.
Okay, just want to make sure we're on the same.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So question number 1, does the commission have the lawful authority to approve one of the submitted tariffs? I'm going to agree with Evergy's position that the commission does have the authority to approve this type of tariff. It is a new service to be offered and frankly is quite similar to the special contract tariff that we already approved in the Nucor case. So I'm going to say that, yes, we have the legal authority to do this. Commissioner Root?
I agree with you, and Mr. Chairman, and I echo your comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
I say yes to this.
Commissioner Holzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
Yes.
All right. Decision number 2, what hold harmless language should be required? I'm going to generally agree with staff and OPC's position to have some type of hold harmless language. Evergy agreed to hold harmless language in the Nucor case. I'm not sure that the exact same language is appropriate here because that's a slightly different statute, but I think that language can be fine-tuned to be more appropriate for this case in the order. So that's what I would like to see. Commissioner Root?
So I was unclear. So you wanted to go with Evergy's language from Nucor's case that's been modified, or do you want to go with the OPC's language?
I would like it to be as close as the Nucor language as possible, given the different statute. But
yeah, so yeah, I agree with Evergy's hold harmless language.
okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement, Mr. Chairman, with it as you stated.
Okay. Commissioner Holzman?
Yeah,
I'd say that getting as close to the new core as you can would be my preference.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
Yes, and I agree.
Decision 3, should there be securitization language? If so, what language? I'm going to say no and agree with Evergy and Velvet that this language is not necessary. The language of the statute already states that the imposition and collection of securitized utility tariffs charges authorized under a financing order shall be non-bypassable and paid by all existing and future retail customers receiving electric service from the electrical corporation. Since that's explicitly in the statute, I just think it's unnecessary to restate it in the tariff. So I would say no. Commissioner Root?
I also believe it should be no.
Commissioner Coleman?
No specific language is needed.
Commissioner Holzman?
No.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
And I agree with you. I'm a no as well.
Okay. Question 4, should there be RESRAM language? If so, what language? I'm comfortable with the flat waiver of the provision as Evergy proposes. I mean, that was, again, something that we did in the new court case with that waiver. So that's where I'm fine with that. Commissioner Root?
Yeah, I'll go with Evergy's position.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree with that.
Commissioner Holzman?
Might have a slight little different take. Now, this is an exemplar tariff and not a specific special contract. Here we have an example of a potential MKT customer before us who, in this instance, is pledging to meet their energy needs with 100% renewables. And since sourcing renewable energy is not required by this tariff, this may not always be the case. However, if MKT customer takes a renewable energy pledge, before we consider approving a waiver from the RES calculation and/or a waiver from the RESRAM charge, the Commission needs some assurance that MKT customer is in fact meeting the RES by retiring RECs on their own behalf, equivalent to what Evergy would have been required to obtain had their load been included in the RES calculation. That's the only way we can be confident the waiver is not adversely impacting other customers. We might be able to do this by allowing any party to bring a complaint if they suspect the MKT customer is not meeting the terms of the waiver and tariff, or perhaps through an attestation that includes the retired RECs.
So your suggestion would be that the order include language,
some clawback or some way to some provision that allows for someone to point out that we waived them from the tariff because they were promised that they were going to do this. Let's just make sure that they follow through on that promise. And if they don't, then we should state that it can be contested in a future proceeding.
So essentially, your position is if everybody does what they say they're going to do, everything's fine. There's a waiver.
Correct.
If
Correct.
they don't, then you would like to see this tariff brought back by a party for us to re-examine the RESRAM issue at that time. If they don't.
If they don't. If they do, then there's no action needed. If they don't, and it probably can be done without explicitly stating it, but I would feel a lot more comfortable explicitly stating that if they don't, then this is a potential ramification of not following through on that pledge.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding is that any party can do that, but I also personally wouldn't have a problem with stating that in the order. I probably wouldn't put it in the tariff, but in the order. And
I'm fine with that too.
Some language. Let's see. Commissioner Root, what are your thoughts on Commissioner Holzman's idea?
Yeah, I think anybody can bring a complaint, so I have no problem stating it in the order.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman?
Yeah, I have no problem stating it in the order either. I think it's good and solid point that he has.
Okay, Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like we're waiving the res ram, but the order will state that if there's a breach on this issue, that we would expect to see a party bring it back. Is that right? Is that Commissioner
Yeah,
Holden?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right, so we'll be working with the
And,
judge.
hey, before we move on, I also want to commend Velvet for this goal and having a 100% renewable load, and hope that others follow their lead.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll work with the judge on that specific language before the order comes out. So that brings us to Commission decision number 5. Should EDR be included as an issue? If so, what language? I'm going to say no. I agree with Google in the position that they brought on this, that the EDR statute does not include restrictions, but the MIA statute specifically does. So I agree with their contention that if the legislature intended to provide for restrictions in the EDR, it would have included them in the statute, which they didn't. Also, would like to point out that Evergy, Velvet, and Google all raised the issue that this was raised at a hearing without pre-filed testimony. So I think that raises additional due process concerns if we were to do this. So I'm going to say no. Commissioner Root?
I agree with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm a no on this issue, so I agree.
Commissioner Holzman?
Yes, I support your position.
Okay. Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
I support your position as well, Mr. Chair.
Final decision then, should there be a provision for a substation voltage customer? If so, what language? I'm okay with Evergy's proposal to include a provision. I think that the details can be worked out in contracts when they're filed under the tariff. Commissioner Root?
Again, I agree with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Holzman?
I agree.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer?
I also agree.
All right. Judge, that gets us through the 6 questions. Looks like we're going to have some language to massage on the ResRAM issue, but other than that, does that get you what you need?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'll get started right away.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So that concludes case discussion. We do have a closed discussion. So before we do that and clear the line, we will look at scheduling. Friday, February 25th is a commission workshop on AW 2020-0148. That's a working case to consider a proposed residential customer disconnection data reporting rule. That is via WebEx only at 10 a.m. with Judge Woodruff. Then Wednesday, March 2nd, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 9th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 16th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 23rd, agenda at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesday, March 30th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. So that gets us out through, and that's the first quarter of the year already. Any comments, questions, or requests regarding scheduling through the end of the quarter? All right, hearing none. We do need to go into closed session under, make sure I get the statute right. This is under section 610.021 sub 12 RISMO to discuss contracts. So I'll make a motion to go into that closed session. Is there a second?
Second, Holzman.
Seconded by Commissioner Holzman. Is there any discussion on the motion to go into closed session? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of going into closed session under section 610.021 sub 12, say aye.
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 Motion is approved 5-0. We will clear the line, go into closed session, and adjourn immediately upon conclusion of the closed session. Thank you.